Welcome, Taurus rising, sun or moon. Please listen to your rising sign first, as this will give you the most accurate placement in the forecast. Now let's start with Pluto, that has been in Capricorn since 2008 and will be there until 2023. Now this has been a long transit. Pluto in Capricorn is in your 9th house. We will worldwide be seeing big things from Pluto this coming few years, as Pluto will be at its return point in the United States chart in February of 2022, where it will be where it was the last time the Declaration of Independence was signed for the USA. So there are many astrologers that also see big changes, either that will, of course, affect the entire world with its Pluto return next year. But Pluto in this area of your chart will force your worldview to change through either a powerful experiences or a form of crisis, or a powerful person that somehow changes the way you see the world around you. But throughout this transiting period, there is a wisdom and a growth spiritually, possibly in your faith and your belief system. There is a potency that is reached in your connection with God. There's a maturing here, and there's knowledge and wisdom that's gained through this transit that can then benefit you as Pluto transits into your 10th house of Aquarius. So whatever you have been through is worth it, because it will pay off once Pluto moves into Aquarius for you. The knowledge that you've gained, you will need then. It is important to avoid fanatical obsession in the area where Pluto is. And in this case, it is in regards to belief systems, maybe old patterning of beliefs that's being transformed as well. But it's important to not shove your views onto others and becoming obsessive and overpowering, trying to overpower people and telling them that they're wrong and you're right, that type of thing. Instead, rather just stay open-minded. You can feel strongly in what you believe. Stay open-minded, stay investigating, stay probing, being open to other people's views and allowing them to grow on their own time, on their own journey. As we each have revelations for our point of growth in a unique way. It is important to watch for difficulty with the law while Pluto is in this area, especially if we act without consideration of others. But Pluto here is going to reach a potency point for you, as it will be reaching critical degrees in 2022, as it's getting ready to move into Aquarius. So it will be a time of huge transformation in regards to your place in the world, your view of the world, your faith and beliefs. Also, there could also be a certain intensity reached with a father figure in some cases. There can be a transformation in regards to a father figure, maybe a relationship that's changed, or in some cases this can be a physical form changing of being born in the spiritual world and experiencing death on earth for a father figure for some people. And then when Pluto moves into Aquarius, you will be using what you have gained in this long transit through Capricorn, living more purpose-filled as far as your career and life direction, and the way that you live your life and the way the world sees you will be, there will be a deepening, purpose-filled action there. And then let's have a look at Neptune. That is in Pisces at this time and has been since 2011 and will be in Pisces until 2025. Now, Neptune is in your 11th house, and this has been a period since 2011 where you may have been trying to actualize ideals and future hopes and wishes. It's been a time that you've been trying to achieve and work towards that. It's important to remain realistic with Neptune in the house of hopes and wishes, because we can sometimes take things a bit too far and then reach areas of disappointment because our goals are too unrealistic. So it's important to stay realistic here. It is also sometimes an indicator of deception in regards to certain friends or groups that you may belong to. It can also indicate moral support from friends and vice versa. It can also bring in spiritual attunement of a very high level, blessings, and this can many times bring in a feeling of only wanting to connect with like-minded people and finding people that are on the same spiritual vibration that you are at. And especially with Pluto in your 9th house as well, this is definitely a big theme for you. That the things that you like to do, or watch, or everything needs to be in alignment with where your vibration is at right now, and you're very much aware of who or what is not. And also in regards to propaganda and the media, and so forth. And then Taurus, you have had Uranus in your 1st house since 2018, and Uranus will be here until 2026. This is a complete changeover for you, Taurus, with Uranus here. It can indicate very original ideas, inventions. Your intuition increases with Uranus here. You can feel like you want to drastically change the way you look. You might have drastic changes in your perception of things, and your attitude towards how you approach life. You can find some stamina fluctuations with Uranus here. Sometimes you can be more accident prone with Uranus here. So it's important to be careful when driving, traveling, working with electricity, machinery, explosives. There can be issues regarding internet, lightning, unexpected events that can change the entire course of your life with Uranus in the first house, because it affects you angularly, and it can create huge shifts in your life. And especially now with the nodes of the moon moving into Taurus and Scorpio, and Uranus will be conjuncting the North Node in your first house as well. You can expect big changes in the next year that'll affect your entire life. For some it can be change of residence, occupation. There can be issues in regards to one-on-one relationships with business partners, but especially with love. If you're married or you have a significant other, as you will want more freedom during this transit, and you're going through a makeover. So you will not be the same when Uranus has passed through here. And in some cases that changes relationships, and especially if the person you are with is not growing at the same rate that you are. So you might want to be more independent. You might want to follow your own ideas and path and make revolutionary changes in all areas of your life. It can be your physical body. You might want to work out. You might want to suddenly start following a very healthy lifestyle, eating organic, or using natural medicine to heal certain ailments. It can be a physical transformation. It can be career-wise, home-wise, relationship-wise. This can go either way. And Uranus here can indicate issues with the thyroid or the neck, also in regards to the liver, or just unexpected things. So it's important to not be impulsive. It can also cause instability financially for some. And worldwide, as we can see, new and different people can come into your life. You take more of an interest in things beyond this world, which is also confirmed with where Neptune is in your chart, as well as where Pluto is in your chart right now. So you're having an internal outward makeover as a soul. We all are, but I think you are feeling it very, very vividly. So stay open to new experiences. Others might not like some of the things and some of the changes that you are doing right now. But there are limitations in your life that are holding you back, and you know that they need to change. You might have old belief systems holding you back from changing them, or legislation or powers out of your control. But there are things that needs to be changed, and if you don't change them and cut them, change might come to you in uncomfortable ways. So it's important to really follow your gut, really listen to your intuition, and start loosening the grip in the areas that you know can no longer continue the way that they are going. Limit excess. Try and go and simplify these areas of your life. Get back to basics there. Simplify. Keep things easy, and loosen the grip and change the way you do that area of your life, or that person in your life, or bring in some new, exciting, different angles at it. Think outside of the box, and then you will already feel so much more free. And Taurus, you also have Saturn in your 10th house of Aquarius, and Saturn has been here since the 17th of December 2020 and will be here until the 7th of March 2023. Now, with Saturn here, this usually means that about 14 years ago, you may have laid the foundation or started to lay the foundation for what you are reaping at this time. And that will depend on what you've done in the last 14 years, so to speak, and what kind of harvest you're going to harvest here in this time. So you will reap the rewards of even the last 20 to 24 years while Saturn is in this area. You can usually gain responsibility with Saturn here in your workplace, in your life. If being a leader is in the cards, then it would most likely happen during this transit. It is a productive time. It's also about achievement for you. But you are here becoming who and what you are. It makes you begin to feel complete. It is important to not take shortcuts at this time. In a negative sense, it can be rewards that maybe you are not liking so much. It can bring in an overly focused fixation on materialism or status or the external world in such a way that you possibly neglect your loved ones and your home life, your personal life, and that your relationships suffer from this. And if that is the case, this really puts your relationships in danger, especially with Uranus in your first house as well. And you most likely have a much more serious nature about you with Saturn here, but a practical way that can produce long-lasting effects. And in other cases, this can of course be a time where you are laying the foundation for your future. And then let's have a look at Jupiter will be in Pisces in your 11th house as the year starts, and it will be there until the 10th of May, when it will ingress Aries in your 12th house, as it will also retrograde on the 28th of July and make its way back into Pisces again on October 28th, where it will station direct in November and re-enter Aries on the 20th of December 2022. So it's approximately 6 months of the year it will be in Pisces, and the rest of the time it'll be in Aries. But we begin with it in Pisces, and while Jupiter is in Pisces, you are much more aware of the importance of group values. Friendships are beneficial, and your hopes and dreams for the future are of much importance to you now. Your future is very much a fever for you right now. You may learn from others a lot, and it's good to work with others if possible. It's good to find groups that you belong to or like-minded people, connecting with those that are on the same level as you are, and not going at things alone. Your interest is also more geared towards broad social reform with this placement. It can indicate also as intense spiritual perception, prophetic dreams and visions, philanthropic affairs, and again, as with Neptune in Pisces as well, there's this supporting friendship between friends and people. There's support here from others and from you to others. And then Jupiter will be in Aries in your 12th house as of the 10th of May. And your awareness and learning capabilities increases in the spiritual and religious dimensions of life with this transit. You can have a stronger compassion for others, and you may feel more connected on a humane level. Events or a particular person may become a spiritual teacher, or you may be that for someone else. You can be more interested in the truth, wisdom, life after death, psychology in general. This is a good time to spend on healing the subconscious patterns of our psychology, and witness how we can be triggered through things we haven't dealt with and healing that. It's a good time for meditating and putting our hope and faith in that above, especially when that below seems so troubled. And remember that you are ultimately a soul within a body, having an earthly experience. But you are a spiritual being, and that is what needs to be cultivated now. And then we start the year off with Mars in Sagittarius, and Mars will ingress Capricorn, which is your 9th house, on the 24th of January. And Mars is exalted in Capricorn, and it increases your worldly ambition to achieve. It is well organized. It brings regulated action and practical results. It can be bring on a bit more of a prudish sex drive while it's here. But it is a time for more creative intellectual work with Mars here. For some, sometimes it can indicate working overseas or working with foreigners or with people that are very different from you. But with Mars here, you can want to share your vision of the world with others and share your beliefs. You may want to preach. It's important to not over-identify here with your belief systems, especially with Pluto in this area as well and at critical degrees. You don't want to beat others over the head, but you are ready to defend your belief at all costs with this transit. It's at all costs. But it's important to rather expand your view of the world, your understanding of others. You can do this by traveling or reading or just mixing with others and staying open-minded. It can indicate travel, but this could also be a dangerous aspect for travel, so it is better to see a professional astrologer if you were going to travel at this time. And it can indicate issues with the law or court cases or dealing with legal paperwork, or maybe for immigration or legal passports or anything like that. So it can indicate dealing with issues of that sort with Mars here. And Mars will also conjunct Pluto on the 3rd of March at 27 degrees of Capricorn. And this is almost the exact exaltation of Mars in Capricorn, because that would be the 28th degree. But this can also sometimes indicate isolation, a type of a shipwreck energy. It can bring in issues with relatives for some, or with religious people, or a father figure. This can also be an accident or maybe injury of a father figure. It can indicate long journeys or secret missions, sacrificing for science or religion. It can sometimes indicate marriage to a stranger in a faraway place, or gain by marriage and relatives, or that a partner could be journeying far away at this time. Now, with Mars conjunct Pluto here, we can be tempted to take control of whatever is happening around us. So just be aware of that. It can stimulate ambition, but it can be also violent and disruptive. It can bring ruthless energy and extreme ego conflicts. And being in your 9th house, your belief system is involved here. So this can be taken very emotionally. So you have to stay in control of your emotions and your actions at this time. And you might also be seeing this in the world around you, that this is what you are experiencing through others. So this is not necessarily the way you feel, even though I do believe that that could possibly be it, but it can be taken, around with the people around you as well. There can be power games, also in government, with others at work, so avoid danger. It is a great time for making changes though, or doing heavy amounts of work. This is an energy that can help you push through. You can gain power possibly with this type of aspect and enjoy it in some way. Make sure that you're not acting selfishly. This is an aspect that can attract violent people if you don't channel it appropriately. So be especially aware if you are in foreign places and dealing with people that you do not know. This can affect a parent. Like I've said before, it can bring death, accidents, in some cases, or just a huge transformation. Or it can be conflict with a parent. This can mean that you are dealing with some kind of business regarding death. And in some cases, it can bring in inheritances. In some cases, it can allow a rise, sort of a higher position, so to speak. And then Mars will enter Aquarius, your 10th house, on the 6th of March. And this will also trigger the Saturn-Uranus square we've had all of 2021, and we will also still experience into 2022, which is the past versus the future, the old versus the new, restriction versus freedom. And this has been affecting you with your 1st and 10th house, between the self, yourself and your life direction, your authenticity and your life purpose and career. yourself and your significant other, your truth and the world image that you have. Now, with Mars and Aquarius here, you can have an innovative flair, doing things in an original and unique way. You can seek a lot more freedom of action, especially in your daily life. It brings a sexually cool energy, more unemotional than usual. It can indicate an honorable partner for some. This can benefit business, or even in some cases it can bring in a difficulty in employment, because you can tend to not want to take orders from a boss and not want to do things your own way. So it can bring conflict or challenges with an employer or a parent or someone above you in authority in some way, even between co-workers, because you can become more competitive with others with Mars here. So it's important to maybe try working by yourself if possible, but it's good for getting any passionate project that you're really into to really get it done. Even if it takes a lot out of you, you'll have what it takes to do that now. In some cases, it can bring persecution from the government or authorities. Sometimes it can indicate, if other transits supported, public humiliation through a scandal of some kind, or with a union or an enemy. It's important to remain conscious of other people's efforts while Mars is here, and to not act in a very selfish or self-absorbed manner, because this can be happening without you even realizing that you're doing it. It can sometimes bring in a sorrow through a parent or a mother, or issues with a partner's parent. And yes, just try and avoid conflicts at work with this transit. Otherwise you can cause your own efforts, because you're working really hard right now. You don't want to ruin that for yourself. But you can get much achieved with this transit. And then on the 4th and 5th of April, Mars will conjunct Saturn at 22 degrees of Aquarius in your 10th house. Now, Mars will be in your 11th house, conjunct Saturn. And this can be a difficult transit for some. It can cause frustrations, irritations. So it's important to not do any... Mars is conjunct Mars is conjunct in your 10th house of Aquarius, not 11th house, sorry. But this can bring in difficult frustrations and irritations for some. Don't do any risky or daring activity. With this conjunction, you can experience less energy at that time. Sometimes this can bring in an inability to express yourself or express your anger. So you could be repressing it. It would be good for you to physically work out during this time to release stress. And but it is great for working on something that requires heavy concentration or a very careful technique. But be cautious with machinery, cutting tools, weapons, steel and iron. But this can be a trigger as well. for breaking free in an area that you've been feeling limited and that you've been feeling building up over the last year, even, where it's kind of hit this crescendo of just intensity. Because Mars will also be squaring Uranus at this time, and it can bring in rebellious and impulsive behavior. So be careful when dealing with authorities or acting rash and then having to deal with authorities. And you might ask yourself, at this time, can I be myself? You can be more easily angered and more aggressive with this transit, so stay in control of yourself. But start by creating changes in this area of your life. Start changing the way you do this area of your life, which is your life direction, your work. You need to change it before it becomes intolerable and then something breaks, or it's a very dramatic change then, because this kind of build-up emotional energy can actually cause accidents if you don't channel this energy appropriately. So rather start loosening the grip in whichever area you're feeling this, whether this is a marriage, a career, where you live, your status, what you stand for, how the world sees you. It's important now to do this in a different way. Think outside of the box and start making changes. Simplify this area. Make it practical, simpler, easier, a freeing time for yourself to live and be in the moment. And remember that new challenges requires new solutions. And then Mars will enter Pisces on the 15th of April, and this is in your 11th house. And this happens just after the Jupiter and Neptune conjunction on the 12th of April in this house as well. Now, during this time, you can feel like you lack self-motivation and confidence. Sometimes you feel a bit more foggy during this time, and you would need more clear direction at work. Or you might find that when you're dealing with friends and co-workers, you have to be very clear in order to avoid misunderstandings. A quiet atmosphere is the best at this time in order to be productive. Creating harmony and peace is of utmost importance here. This can bring in affectionate and romantic energy in love. And more so than the act of sex itself. This is also a time where you might want to be formulating and pursuing goals actively. And you might find that teamwork is required now in order for you to reach your future goals. But it might be hard, as it might be harder for you to work in a team environment with Mars here. Because this transit requires you to create balance between your and other people's interests. And this can also sometimes indicate that you're looking to hire or to gather the right people, whether it's friends or a group towards a cause, or whether it's people you want to collaborate with, or employees that you need to hire for a job. So it can indicate that you're looking for the right people. It could bring difficulty with friends or groups that you belong to, or alliances of some kind. It can sometimes indicate accidents involving friends. It's great for group sports or unique ideas and innovative ideas and sort of light bulb moments, solutions that are God sent, fighting for your rights and freedoms in life and in the workplace, and standing up for your beliefs. So this could be a quite passionate time for you, Taurus. And then Mars will conjunct Neptune on the 17th of May at 24 degrees of Pisces. And when Mars is conjuncting Neptune, we can sometimes meet up with unfortunate disappointments. We can come up with two obstacles of some kind, or undertake something that doesn't turn out well. We might meet up with a deceitful friend, or lost through the advice of some acquaintances, and in extreme cases, there can be death in the family or death of a friend. Friends can become opponents here, or people that you thought you could trust. And in some cases, this can mean union or marriage of some kind to a person that has children, that might be divorced or widowed. But it can also indicate trouble through a person such as this or their children. So if maybe you are married with a person that has children from a previous marriage, that this could maybe indicate some tension in that area. So then you can prepare ahead of time to open up communication with these relationships, in order for this to rather be a time where you can use Mars to work on the relationships that you would like to heal. But for some, Mars here can bring, with Neptune, can bring strange feelings, and feeling a bit discouraged, or feeling irritable, and sort of like you're unable to do what you need to do, or you feel maybe inferior or useless in some way. And beware of actions based on delusions at this time. Again, with Neptune here, you want to be careful of being taken for a ride. You want to avoid drugs, alcohol, any dangerous escapism activities, and try not to start anything new with Mars conjunct Neptune, because it could possibly turn out in a different way. So it's better to wait. It is a great time for serving others, volunteering in a hospital, or doing charity work, or but as long as your intentions are good. This is a good time for healing, like I said, also relationships, and working on your health. It's important to rest and not to push your body too hard during this time, because you most likely will experience a bit of a lower energy in any way. So it would be normal for you to also have a low sex drive during a Mars-Neptune conjunction. But you might be a lot more romantic and wanting to, listen to beautiful music, and you're maybe into poetry, or, taking long baths. And it's important to rather connect spiritually and work on your inner self during this time. And then Mars will ingress Aries on the 24th of May and this will be in your 12th house. And Mars here is dignified and prefers direct and immediate communication and action. So Mars can sometimes be a bit more aggressive, impulsive. It's a doer in Aries. It goes after what it wants. It has more courage, more energy. It's brave and competitive, and but it can come with haste, which can be which can make you more accident prone and injury prone. It has a strong sex drive here, but it can also sometimes indicate that we fail something but we don't finish what we start, sort of thing. So there's a risk of that. But with Mars here, you have a strong psychic ability. You have powerless enemies with Mars here. It can indicate secret investigations, but it really is an opportunity to grow and heal spiritually and emotionally, and to work on the subconscious survival patterns from our past that we have learned from childhood, how to survive certain traumas, certain emotional difficulties, physical difficulties, and how we go internal, and how that imprints on us without us even knowing. We go back to these patterns over and over in our lives, and they can be so self-sabotaging. And this is a great time because most likely with Mars in Aries here, you could be triggered in some way for one of these types of patterns to come out, and allow yourself to witness it and to realize that it does not serve you any longer, and that you can let it go now, and you can heal the wound that stems from, and transform this. Mars here can also indicate sleep issues, so you might find that it's a bit harder for you to sleep at night. You might also find that if you work out, you might feel like doing that at night, or working at night as well. In some cases, it can bring in unhappiness in the marriage, secret sorrows, jealousy, in severe circumstances with other transits supporting this. A partner or an enemy can cause imprisonment. There can be a danger at the hands of enemies with transits such as these, if other transits support this. And this can be a difficult transit. It can feel like you are working in the background, or you're not being seen for what you do. It can be self-denial with this placement. You can feel irritable, very low energy, low self-confidence. This can cause you to self-sabotage a position at work if you come across in the wrong way. If one of these subconscious patterns sort of take over. And what will happen is sometimes it can feel like other people are working against you, but what they're doing is they're steering you in a quiet way because of one of these possible patterns that you are unknowingly using. And so it can feel like they're against you in a way. But this is a time where you don't want to confront others. You want to confront yourself and work on that psychological parts that needs healing. It's a great time to serve others, It's a great time to work alone. And sometimes this can indicate time or work in a prison, in a hospital, in a place where you're secluded. It can be a vacation, a retreat center, a mental hospital for some. We might end up there after the last year. So, yes, it can indicate just being in a faraway place or working by yourself. But in all seriousness, this can indicate harm of self in some cases as well. And therefore, please make sure that if things get too dark or too heavy, that you reach out to others and you communicate how you feel. This is a time where you don't want to go at it alone. You do need support. We all need support with what's going on in the world right now. And Mars will conjunct Jupiter on the 29th of May at 3 degrees of Aries. And this will be great for physical activity. Your energy will get a boost again. It's great for confidence. So all that low energy, all that, feelings of insecurity, that's going to fade away. So now you're going to have energy again and health and confidence and hope. But there is an important factor here is to not be overconfident all of a sudden, because this can lead to accidents and humiliation. So don't act foolishly. Be cautious in speculation, but this can also for some be a lucky transit. Bring in blessings. It's great for muscle growth if you're working out this period. It is the type of strength that will make childbirth easier if you are giving birth. In some cases, this can mean secret sorrows of some kind, a sort of suffering and silence. But this is a time where you want to connect with the divine. You want to spend time in prayer and talk to God, because He will be your strength during this time. If you are dealing with, well, not if, we are all dealing with obstacles, whichever obstacles you are facing at this time. And then Mars will Mars will square Pluto in Capricorn Retrograde on the 1st of July, 27 degrees of Aries. And while Mars is squaring Pluto, we can deal with power struggles. You might feel the urge to want to make headway. This is a very high energy transit. It can bring in opposition from others. It can sometimes indicate that you may have to take a different course of action than planned. It's important to take care of loose ends right now, otherwise they can trip you up. So be cautious. Don't forget the details. It's important to resist cruelty. This can bring in a ruthless energy or being underhanded for some. Remember that shortcuts can lead to defeat. And the actions that you take now will show when Mars enters Cancer in January of 2023. So don't take any shortcuts. This can indicate a fight to give up, or a fight between you and a group, or you and an opposition of some kind. So it's important to avoid danger, dangerous places, people, and that you're not the victim of some, aggression of some kind. Just make sure that you know who you're dealing with when you're dealing with people. And then Mars will be in Taurus in your first house on the 5th of July. And Mars here is in detriment. And this basically means that it's a bit slower to initiate. But it does boost practical direction. It's determined. It brings things from a slow start, but purposeful action. You're more focused towards monetary gain with Mars here. You might want to start something new. Mars in Taurus likes to work with money or with earth materials. It wants to garden. It wants to grow things. It wants to self-sustain. It wants its own security. Mars in Taurus brings a basic approach to sex, but sensual. This is a bit more busy time in your life with Mars in the first house. You'll be more assertive. You'll want to make an impression on others, and you'll have more energy usually with this transit. But it can bring difficulty in relationships. It can make you a bit more selfish. You'll want to individuate more, and you want to be recognized, and you want your own way. So try and stay open to compromise with Mars here. Mars here can make you more inclined to fight for your rights, but you can get much done with Mars here. And then Mars will conjunct Uranus in your first house and the North Node on the 1st of August at 18 degrees of Taurus. And this is a crisis indicating degree where the nodal degree is. So this can bring sudden upsets, disruptions, surprises, things that kind of completely takes you by surprise. This can be financial losses or gains, but financial volatility worldwide. This can bring you to change plans. It's an energy that bursts out. It's also an energy that can make you want to finally sort of break free from this limiting areas in your life that you've been feeling you need to get out of for a long time. This could be something that finally is like this, the final cherry on top for you to cut the chains. It can mean rebellion. Accidents at this time would be self-inflicted or due to impulsivity or anger outbursts. So stay in control of yourself. Remember to breathe. Avoid driving fast or working with machinery or tools or weapons, especially if you're angry. And rather use this energy to create a new project, innovate, work out, and channel this appropriately. Because you will want to assert your individuality more here. So think of how you can do that in creative ways instead of ways that could possibly harm yourself or others. And then let's have a look at the retrogrades for 2022. Mercury will retrograde from air into earth this year. So it'll be Aquarius to Capricorn. And it will be Gemini to Taurus, and it'll be Libra to Virgo. Now, just like any Mercury retrograde, the normal Mercury retrograde topics would be that we can expect changes, turnarounds, insecurity, imbalance. Our mental activity can go haywire. We can experience anxiety. the common topics are misunderstandings in the areas of your chart that it affects. And Mercury affects so many areas because it affects our communication and how we move around, our transportation. It can bring about mistakes, loss of passwords, damage or loss of electronics, email errors, having to retest or redo things. It's a time where you want to reevaluate things. So you might think things over. You might change your mind. There's reversals. People from the past show up. There's things from the past, banking errors, card errors at the grocery store, electricity outages, internet outages, car malfunctionings, mechanical faultiness, wrong numbers, rerouted traffic, accidents. You don't want to buy new electronics during a Mercury retrograde. You don't want to sign a contract or start new things. You're better off to wait because things can change once Mercury goes direct again and moves out of shadow. So it's a better time to review things, adjust things, plan and prepare for things. Write down your schedule so you can stay on top of things, but keep it flexible so you can flow with the changes, because your routines will be kicked up. And, you know, with it retrograding, it'll retrograde from Aquarius to Capricorn, 10 degrees of Aquarius to 24 degrees Capricorn on January 14th until the 4th of February. So it will be retrograde for 21 days. And this is a period where we will see people around us, friends, organizations, politicians, co-workers, alliances, everyone in our world, sort of, we will start seeing their true colors show. This is a time where hopes and wishes come up. So this could be coming up our future goals for reevaluation. Is it realistic? You know, all those kinds of things. Markets and supply lines can be affected by this retrograde. Our social lives, there can be our freedom and individuality can be affected by this. Our communication, our freedom of speech, our rights, us as the collective will be affected by this. This can bring in topics of radio frequencies, electronics, internet, AI, governmental changes, laws. This can be a time of imbalance career-wise, in regards to property commitments, and it can also bring in topics of serious responsibilities, issues with teeth and bones, hard work, in some cases sadness. But for you, Taurus rising, this can be an acknowledgement in regards to also your reputation. This can involve the law, because this is your 9th and 10th houses. It can be court decisions that could be reversed or that could change. It can be relationships, work status, your life direction, your faith, your beliefs, issues in regards to foreign affairs, maybe immigration paperwork, your higher education, maybe your testing or retesting, publishing or republishing, your travel plans can be affected, parents can be affected, your in-laws, grandchildren, dreams, Other people's opinions can be something you're dealing with this time. Your employer, your income, your children, issues in regards to fun, old lovers, adopted children. This can also be issues connected to a second spouse, your second marriage or committed relationship for some. So those are all the topics sort of that could be affected by the Mercury retrograde from January 14th until the 4th of February for you. So you could be dealing with issues. Maybe it's harder for you to make clear goals, or maybe you're going back to an old career, or misunderstandings with authority figures in your life, or giving a goal a second try. It can also mean that you might be traveling to an old place, or go back to school, or reschedule things. And then, of course, all the topics that I mentioned. And then Mercury will retrograde from 4 degrees of Gemini into 26 degrees of Taurus from May 10th until the 3rd of June. So it will be retrograde for 24 days. And of course, the general Mercury retrograde issues applies here. And you might find also that people can be more brutally honest during this time. You might be dealing with gossiping, poking noses, flights delays, schedule plans and things disrupted. It's best to plan ahead, to rethink things, double check things, proofread, use direct communication. There can be chaos financially at this time. Banking, markets, agriculture, food, values, skills are all coming up here for revision. It's important to use caution when spending money and making investments. Maybe you're rethinking investments during this time. It's important to stay flexible and to easily go with changes that occur unexpectedly. So make room for changes and shocks. Be prepared. Surprises and sudden turnarounds and events can occur at this time. These areas are collectively how we could be experiencing this. And then this can also be affecting your 2nd and 5th and 1st houses. So your areas of work, career, money, your skills, your property, what you own, your values, your self-confidence, and then areas of children, your creative projects, self-employment, something you've built up like a baby for yourself, your fun, your joy, sport, your views on life, speculation. And the 1st house is you, your physical body, your perspective, your look, your health, the condition of your vehicle, those types of things, accidents, physical injuries, in regards to ligaments and joints and lungs. And then Mercury will retrograde from 8 degrees Libra to 24 degrees Virgo from September 10th to the 2nd of October. And this will be for 22 days. And while Mercury is retrograde here, grace, charm, diplomacy, collaborations, contracts and agreements, love relationships, business relationships, all of these things that Libra and Venus is connected to, as well as financial situations, can be off balance and can feel off balance. The law, fairness, all of these things. We can feel like we don't look good. We want to rethink our style, our looks. We want to reinvest our money. We want to look at our finances and reevaluate them. Our values are being affected. We could be dealing with manipulation at this time in these areas of our lives that we have this happening. We can see public health issues at this time. COVID topics will be coming up more. Issues in regards to employment, work, mental health, and so forth. But with Mercury retrograde here in Libra and Virgo, for you Taurus rising, this is going to hit you with your 2nd house, 5th house, and 6th house for sure. And 2nd house is your career, your career, your work, your income, your possessions, your investments, your property, your committed marriage, your self-confidence, your values, your morals, your skill set. It's going to affect your children. If you have children, your joy, creative projects, how you express yourself, your sense of freedom, your political views, speculation, self-employment, sport, and so forth. And also your 6th house, which is your health, your physicality, your daily schedules and routines, your work environment, your health routines. It also deals with co-workers and people that work for you or under you. It can also deal with accidents and responsibilities, daily routines, and so forth. And then Venus will retrograde from the 19th of December 2021 into 2022 to the 29th of January. So we start the year in it, and this is a time of going within. Now, with Venus retrograde, it'll be from 23 degrees of Cap to the 11th degree of Capricorn. So for 28 days in retrograde, when we're not looking at the shadow periods, which is before and after. Now, when Venus retrogrades, issues of love, money, values, beauty, pleasure, sweet things, beautiful things come in for review. Relationships, love relationships, business partnerships, old relationships can come back, people from your past or issues that you had with them in your past that you're dealing with, maybe in a new relationship. It's not good to start a new relationship during a Venus retrograde because things could change by the time it goes direct again. So it's important not to make huge investments or big purchases or get married or engaged or enter into contracts that you can't get out of. Your self-worth can be affected by this. It's not a good idea to do huge beauty surgeries or procedures. But it is a good time to really rebalance these areas of your life and rethink them, reevaluate them, and see where the imbalances are and where there needs to be work done. So it's better to postpone important things and rather use the time to plan, reevaluate, and so forth. We can be dealing with repressed feelings at this time. This retrograde is very important because it's also the ruler of the North Node for the next 18 months, which is a destiny point. So pay attention to what's coming up in your life with this Venus retrograde. Some of the negative things that can happen is we can have unexpected expenses pop up. We can have a bit more of a lazy attitude, be more comfort oriented, and but we might deal with a lot of style and art in the news and in news articles, expensive art pieces or shows or things like that with Venus and Capricorn. Venus and Capricorn is very much about slow love or less emotional love. It's business love. It's money for love and love for money. It's business marriages. It's mercenary intentions for some. It's old money. It can be an age difference in love, or love separated, or a mature love, or love occupied, unavailable, restricted, forbidden. At work, it can mean redecorating and decorating ideas, maturing our style, getting really grand, and it can bring in jealousy and manipulation and obsession and power struggles. It can bring in a reality check with love and money. It can be a transit where the relationship is taken to the next level, whether it's at work or in love or with a partner. You get more serious, or you get to the point where you realize this needs to be cut. It can be supported love. It can be mourning love that's gone. It can bring in power moves in regards to property, banking, money, values. All of these types of topics can be coming up with this Venus retrograde collectively for pretty much everyone. And then let's have a look at how this will affect you, Taurus rising. This will be in your 9th house. So there's always a chance that you can be either overly optimistic or pessimistic during this time. There can sometimes be issues with travel, maybe with the pricing or the actual paperwork. There can be issues in regards to money. There can be laziness with schoolwork at this time, or just an apathy. This can affect your writing if you're a writer. It can be a harder time to compromise for you. It can bring in an expansion of your learning. You might feel like you want to travel. It can bring in love in a foreign place or with a foreigner. Your understanding and your world view can feel maybe a bit overwhelming and a bit daunting, where you need to feel like you need to go more inward towards your faith or your belief in order for you to have more faith in the world. There's a quest here for you to find out more, questioning your beliefs, going deeper within. And this is a good transit though for studying and for dealing with beautiful places. It can sometimes mean that you might want to return a flight ticket, or you might have a change of plans in regards to future goals or plans with immigration paperwork, or there can be reversals and returns in regards to these things. And Mars will retrograde from the 30th of October until the 12th of January 2023. And Mars will retrograde for 63 days from 25 degrees of Gemini to 8 degrees Gemini. Now, during this time, Mars will also be in mutual reception with Mercury in Scorpio. So your Scorpio house will also be affected by the Mars retrograde because Mercury and Mars will be in mutual reception here. So the Gemini and Scorpio house will be sort of working hand in hand for you. And Mars is our willpower. It's our action planet. And when it's not direct, it can be difficult to be assertive. We can experience difficulties also with our energy levels being affected. It can be best to complete and finish things that you've already started, projects that you've already started. Be mindful of our anger and frustration during this time. We need to channel it appropriately. Rather exercise, build a website, strategize a plan, repair things, redo things. We might want to renovate things, repurpose things, but we want to wait with new ventures. It can be a good time for you to get your admin out of the way. You want to watch for being more cautious in regards to accidents, arguments, staying out of cities during this time. It can be more chaotic in the cities at this time. We can see things collectively in regards to transportation issues, more aggression in the cities, car accidents, car explosions, attacks in the city. And we need to watch ourselves verbally, mentally, our movement, our sources of information, the media, technology can be affected by this. All the normal Mercury retrograde kind of stuff that generally goes along with Mercury retrogrades can be affected with this Mars retrograde in Gemini. Very, very similar stuff, just more intense. And now Mars was also was conjunct the North Node in April in 2021 in Gemini, and this could also bring an ending to something that could have occurred at that time. So if you can think back at April 2021, something that might have happened or started or that began at that time could possibly be coming to an end, or that it could reach some kind of fulfillment or fruition or something like that. It can also indicate that we might have more blockages and not get as much done as we would normally like to get done. But Mars can be helpful in helping us to slow down and reflect on our desires, to rethink and analyze what upsets us and why it upsets us and where is it coming from. We can also see more debating going on in the media and in the world at large, and also in your own life. But it's a better time to rather just take notes on ideas and, just not act and start anything new or get into arguments or anything like that. You might be rethinking your driving, your neighborhood, where you live, connections with relatives, emotionally. This placement can bring a sharp tongue. It can bring fights with neighbors. It can make you very busy, impulsive. It can make you more injury and accident prone, especially in regards to the arms and the hands, the joints, the lungs, anxiety, inflammation, asthma, pulling muscles, and so forth. It can bring on studying or redoing tests, changes in relationships and communications. The mind can be more fragile and more sharp. You can get into trouble for what you say, even if you're joking. Gossip, humor, business transactions, fraud, schemes can come up at this time. Fighting our fight with words is under this energy. Freedom of speech can be affected, our movement. This kind of placement can denote erotic fantasies, dirty talk, brain activity, a lot of brain activity. You can be more curious. You can take action in your neighborhood, or there's a lot of action in your neighborhood, or you're very busy in your neighborhood. This is a younger sexual energy with Mars in Gemini. And you can be ready to fight for your opinions and beliefs with this placement. Now, this is in your second house, so you need to also be cautious about spending impulsively, fighting over possessions, becoming materialistic, or over-identifying with your earning capacity or your possessions, and thinking that you are what you earn, or comparing your self-worth to what you earn. It can also make you eat really fast or eat very hot food, spicy food. So be careful with what you're eating. You want to pay attention to your diet and intake at this time, and what you say. And be careful of choking at this time. And this can be a time where you're rethinking investments, work, income strategies. This can also affect issues in regards to property, buying property, or fights over property, and maybe taking on a skill, and so forth. This can also affect your seventh house of relationships. So your significant other, business relationships, your the public, open enemies, opponents, and so forth. And then Jupiter will retrograde from the 28th of July till the 23rd of November for 118 days, from 8 degrees of Aries to 28 degrees Pisces. And this can bring on new leaders with Jupiter in Aries. It can bring things up for review, things we want to start or take further and expand. We can be overconfident or over-optimistic with Jupiter here, and arrogant and selfish, more accident-prone, promise things and not deliver. We can make big mistakes if we make mistakes here. Liver issues and alcohol intake needs to be watched with this transit. Where can you be less about yourself is what you should ask yourself here, and more about others. This transit also teaches you how to create your own luck. So you could be coming across opportunities in order for you to expand. but it will still take your own effort to make it happen. You can need to watch your impulsivity more, anger flare-ups, mechanical issues, fire issues, what's happening that you need to learn from, or who can you learn from? Or are you that for someone else? What is your truth? Because this transit is about your personal growth, because it's going to take you within. And once Jupiter retrogrades into Pisces, we can also be reviewing visions of our future, ideals, our beliefs, and where we move more compassionately, and there's an emphasis on the meaning of life and our innermost authentic selves, and our deeper values and morals and integrity and beliefs are revisited. So sometimes this is just happening organically, and sometimes there's events that brings this to our attention. But we turn spiritually inwards. We might also see more in the news, new music, movies, and so forth during this time. And for you, Taurus rising, this is in your 12th and 11th houses that Jupiter will retrograde. And in your 12th, it can bring an investigation into the deeper sides of life, and investigating your faith more. It's important to stay open to different points of view, and to work on what you believe, and to let go of self-sabotaging habits and patterns that could unconsciously control you in some way. It's important to watch escapism during this time and addiction tendencies. And then this is a time for you to rethink future goals, opportunities. There can be opportunities to expand and create your own luck here. You could feel like you want to make a change in life here. You want to make a difference in society or help others more. This can be the joining or the ending of joining a political party or a group. You could be teaching or writing or demonstrating or taking to the street for a cause with these types of transits. And yes, this can also indicate a spiritual teacher that appears to you, or you could be that for someone else. And this is not necessarily a professional of any sort. And then let's have a look at Saturn retrograde from the 4th of June till the 23rd of October, from 25 degrees Aquarius to 18 degrees Aquarius for about 141 days. Now, when Saturn goes retrograde, we review committed and serious relationships, our reality, life goals, direction, responsibilities, duties, and these are up for rebalancing or reviewing and restructuring. And we might ask ourselves look at how we manifest our reality, because Saturn reminds us of the aspects of life we cannot avoid: rules, responsibilities, length of life, taxes, restrictions, commitments, our skin color, and time itself. So the areas that Saturn retrogrades affects in your chart requires restructuring, can experience delays, can bring frustrations and sometimes endings or separations of sorts. And with Saturn retrograde in your 10th house of Aquarius, you could be dealing with alliances and groups being tested, friends being tested, relationships, co-workers. You can feel like you want to jump ship in those areas or with certain relationships, cut friends. Some relationships can become more responsibility laid in regards to friendships or groups. There can be a slowdown of career and ambition with this transit, a necessity to clear blocks, and progress can feel slower. But during this, you will learn where your true vocation is, where your true purpose is, and it gives you an inner look. So if you are not happy with your career, you will possibly want to get out of that during that time. And then we will have eclipses in the Taurus and Scorpio axis in 2022. We're moving from Gemini and Sag, where in Gemini and in Sag we have a mutable energy. We're moving into fixed earth and water, and this is a more stubborn, determined, and all or nothing and brave energy. And during eclipses, we have fated turnarounds, sudden different directions, truths revealed, transformations. Things end abruptly and begin anew. We let go of the old, and in this case, we will have the South Node in Scorpio, so we will be getting rid of toxicity, becoming survivors, becoming more minimalistic, and getting back to basics. And we will be creating our own security, be more focused on the earth and repurposing and recycling and self-sustaining and growing our own food and becoming aware of the tangible and the real value of the basics. The nodal axis, which gives our moon's ecliptic path and determine the eclipse placements, is what is moving into the fixed sign polarity on the 19th of January. And this will be a year of extremes. This will also be the financial axis, the mine and yours, the obsession, power, jealousy, and control axis, manipulation, bullying, stubbornness, breaking, agriculture, land inequalities, secrets, sex, abuse of power, scandals, sex trafficking, new currencies, new financial systems, banking crises, online electronic money, food, medicine, communities, sharing, the necessary versus the unnecessary, boundaries versus freedom, pleasure versus pain. Where can we simplify and make things more manageable? Where do we need to let go and reuse and minimize and detox? And what do you really need? And getting rid of clutter and releasing unnecessary structures from our lives. So these are all letting go of fear and uncovering the truth and living fully now and giving it your all and being willing to be all or nothing. Now, this eclipse axis is also where Uranus will conjunct the North Node. And on the 18th of July. And this will be in your first house, and this can bring in more eccentric energy. It can reveal a unique talent. It can change your approach or look in life, can change your look. It can bring in risk-taking or inspired action, an intense push to be free and achieve goals. But it can also bring in life-threatening situations, also trigger liver issues, but it can bring excitement. And with the South Node in the 7th house as well. So you could be getting rid of relationships that are not working for you business-wise, gain more confidence. There's more self-discovery. Your personal development is really increasing here. This can, in some cases, bring in divorce. Not relying on others is a strong theme here. Listening to your inner voice and the divine. And in some cases, this can also bring out fallouts with friends or group alliances that you have. But you can also have strong epiphanies and huge downloads and great inventive ideas during a time like this. Now, with the eclipses, the first solar eclipse will be in Taurus in your first house on the 30th of April. And this will be a new beginning, a seed of intention, or a new leaf being turned, or a new perspective. And this can be affecting you in your sense of self, maybe a new sense of self or a new leaf that you are, or a new beginning that you want to start with your life, a new direction, a new path. This can be new relationships, also a new relationship with yourself. This can be a change in your personality or how others perceive you. You can change your look. This can be a permanent physical change that you undergo. You can feel a lot more energetic at this time. There can be also new people coming into your life, new friends. This can also be a new lease on life or a new lease on your how you take care of your body and your health in general. And it can be a new way for you to use your voice. This can be a new financial habit or a new investment, investing in yourself and your self-worth, and these types of topics can be coming up for you around that time. And remember that eclipses have about a 6-month effect, some more, depending on the cycles that they're attached to and so forth. But so these are new beginnings that can take time. So it's good to and interesting to watch these areas of your life and see how things unfold. But eclipses are fated events, usually that are for your highest good, even if they are uncomfortable at times. Things are happening for you and not to hinder you, so to speak. And then we will have on the 16th of May, we will have a lunar eclipse in Scorpio in your 7th house. And this will be an ending or culmination or a completion or fruition or something coming to a head in the area of your 7th house of Scorpio. So you could be ending a relationship or ending a certain pattern in a relationship. This can be a court case settlement type of situation, a contract ending, a business contract. This can be connected to an opposition or someone that you consider your enemy, something that's ending in that area, certain beliefs in regards to relationships that could be changing, certain wounds that you are finished healing in regards to relationships. This can also affect people like nieces and nephews, and so forth. And then we will have a solar eclipse in Scorpio again, in the 7th house on the 25th of October. So the same house that there was now a sort of a completion or an ending. There will be again now a new start, a new beginning, a new intention, or a new leaf being turned, sort of a rebirth, so to speak, in your 7th house. So this can then, of course, bring in again a new relationship, or a new page turned in the relationship, a new contract or agreement, maybe a re-establishment of vows, a marriage. This can bring in property. This can also bring in a sense of freedom in this area. This can be a intimate breakthrough in the relationship. And again, this could be a new niece or nephew, or something new in regards to them. This can be a new lawsuit, or a new lawyer, or a new representative of some kind, or in some cases a new enemy, a new opposition. So it all depends on your unique situation and your chart and transits taking place at that time. But whatever that area was, ending something and is now going to be going through a rebirth in that area. And then on the 8th of November, there will be a lunar eclipse in your 1st house again. So this will be a type of something coming to a fruition or fulfillment in the area of the self, your sense of self. So there's maybe a period that was muddled for you ends. There's a change again in your personality, or in how others perceive you, or on how you look. Maybe you have decided to, cut your hair, or make some physical change. Maybe you've been trying to lose weight, and now you have finally reached that goal. You maybe started this as a new resolution on the 30th of April, and now you're getting to that fruition. So this can also be the loss of a grandparent, or a great-grandparent in some cases. This can be the ending of a health condition, something that's finally healing now, or it could, in some negative cases, it can be something negative health-wise that's now come to a fruition, and it's now visible or being detected, so that you can actually deal with it now. It can, in some cases, indicate losing your voice, or whether that's actually physically or not. This can be the end of a financial habit or financial aspect of some kind in your life. Well, Taurus rising, thank you for allowing me to guide you through 2022. You are in for a complete life makeover from the inside out, and it's exciting. You can do it. May God bless you and keep you. May the sun shine bright on you this day and this year. Until next time.